Hi friends, let's keep reading. Magic Treehouse Merlin Mission number 8, Blizzard of the Blue Moon by Mary Pope Osborne. Checking anywhere on their way to the zoo. Will they find the unicorn there? Chapter 5, The Cloisters. Do you see Teddy and Kathleen? Asked Jack. The crowd was swarming away from the subway platform toward different exits. Jack couldn't see anyone who looked like the two young enchanters. No, said Annie, but we've figured out where to get off. I'm sure they did too. Let's hurry and get to the zoo. We can meet up with them there. Jack and Annie moved with the crowd. They passed a change booth on the way out of the station. Wait, I'll ask where to go, said Annie. She waited in line and then leaned forward to talk to the man in the booth. Do you know how to walk to the Bronx Zoo from here, she said. Walk to the Bronx Zoo? Are you out of your mind, said the man. This isn't the stop for the Bronx Zoo. It's much further north. You mean we got out at the wrong stop, said Annie. You did, but it doesn't matter, said the man. You can't get there now anyway. The tracks near the zoo are above ground, and I just got word they're buried in snow. Oh no, said Jack. Lousy day for the zoo anyway, said the man. Next. Jack and Annie stepped away from the booth and walked out of the subway station. The sidewalk was deserted. Oh man, that girl gave us the wrong information, said Jack. This is terrible, said Annie. No kidding, said Jack. He looked around, wondering what to do next. Auga, auga. What's that, said Jack. It looks like a taxi. Annie pointed at a big yellow car with a checkerboard stripe and writing on the side. Its horn let out a loud squawk. Auga, auga. The driver stuck his head out the window. He wore a big furry cap that came down over his ears. Need a taxi, he called. Yeah, shouted Annie. Come on, Jack. He can take us to the zoo. Jack hurried after her through the snow. The taxi driver stepped out of the cab and opened the back door. Hop in, he said. His cheerful voice was muffled through a plaid scarf that covered half his face. Thanks, said Jack. He stepped onto a running board and then climbed inside. The taxi was very roomy. Jack could stretch his legs out and not even touch the front seat. Boy, lots more room in old cars than ours, he said to Annie. Yeah, said Annie, and there's no seat belts. Oh yeah, said Jack. I guess old cars didn't have any. I hope this guy is a good driver. The driver slid open a little window that separated the front seat from the back. Where to? He asked. Can you please take us to the Bronx Zoo, said Annie. We're in a big hurry to get there, said Jack. Sure thing, kiddos, said the driver. Great, said Jack. Oh, how much will it cost? Asked Annie. About 30 cents, said the driver. Can you afford it? Sure thing, kiddos, said Annie. The driver laughed and closed the window. Then the taxi began moving through the snow. Everything's so cheap here, Annie said to Jack. To us it is, said Jack, but it's the Great Depression. Lots of people don't even have a nickel. The taxi slid over the ice road and bumped over the curb. Whoa, said Jack, slipping off the seat. Sorry, kiddos, called the driver. He got the taxi back onto the street. Then he plowed on through the snow, swerving this way and that. The ride seemed dangerous in the bad weather, but Jack didn't want to get out now. He stared nervously out the window. The streets were empty of people. All the stores were closed and shuttered. Snow was piling up on apartment stoops, fire escapes, and iron balconies. Many of the buildings were shabby and crumbling with broken windows. Hard times, Annie said softly. Yep, said Jack. He took a deep breath. The taxi climbed up a road lined with tall evergreen trees. Suddenly it skidded and came to a stop. The engine roared, but the taxi's wheels only spun in the snow. What's happening? Jack wondered aloud. He tapped on the glass that separated them from the driver. The driver slid the window open. Too bad, kiddos. Looks like I'm stuck, he said. Are we near the zoo? Asked Annie. It's still a long way from here, I'm sorry to say, said the driver, but this taxi's not going anywhere. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, well, thanks, said Annie. How much do we owe you? Forget it, kiddo, said the driver. Good luck. Good luck yourself, kiddo, said Annie. She opened the door and she and Jack climbed out into the cold wind. The taxi motor kept running and the wheels only spun in place, sending up sprays of dirty snow. I don't believe this, said Jack. Maybe there's a subway station somewhere near here, said Annie. The man in the booth said the subways aren't running all the way to the zoo, said Jack. I know, but maybe we can at least get closer, said Annie. Jack and Annie struggled through the storm until they came to a steep cliff. Over the edge of the cliff, they saw nothing but a cloud of wind-blown snow. Where are we? Said Annie. I have no idea, said Jack. His teeth chattered. His eyes and ears stung with the cold, and his hands and feet felt numb. Isn't this what frostbite feels like, he thought? Numb? Let's go back and sit in that taxi until we figure out what to do, said Jack. At least get out of the wind. Okay, said Annie. Maybe the driver will get it going again. Jack and Annie headed back the way they come, but the taxi was gone. Hey, he must have gotten stuck, said Annie, and he left us. Oh man, said Jack, we're having really rotten luck, and I think I'm starting to get frostbite, seriously. It looks like there's a building over there, said Annie. I see a tower. Yeah, me too, said Jack. Let's go there and try and figure out what to do next. Jack and Annie trekked up what looked like a long driveway until they came to the gray stone building. Jack wiped snow from a sign in front. Cloisters of the Metropolitan Museum open to the public. A museum, said Annie. Let's go in and ask them how to get to the zoo. Yeah, and get warm for a minute, said Jack. He and Annie climbed the snow-covered steps of the cloisters. Annie opened the door and the wind nearly swept them inside. They pushed the door shut. Ah, my first visitors all day, a woman chirped. Jack and Annie turned around. A museum lady sat at a desk in a corner. Dressed in a green uniform, she was tall and thin with a friendly face and short gray hair. I'm sorry, but we can't stay long, said Annie. We just came here to get warm for a minute and get some information. What can I tell you? The woman asked. We're trying to get to the Bronx Zoo, said Jack. Is there a subway near here? Well, the A train is close by, said the museum lady, but that won't take you anywhere near the zoo. Oh man, said Annie. Oh, I wouldn't be so sad, the woman said brightly. If I were you, I'd stay right here and enjoy the cloisters. You won't regret it, I promise. The cloisters hold most of the medieval collection of the world-famous Metropolitan Museum of Art. What's a cloister? Annie asked. It's an enclosed garden or courtyard, said the museum lady. We have 4 in all. They beautifully evoke medieval times, from the Romanesque period to the light, airy elegance of the Gothic. Cool, said Jack politely. He had no idea what she was talking about. I suppose the gardens are cool most days, my dear, said the woman, but today they are freezing. Never mind, you don't have to spend time in the gardens to enjoy the museum. Inside we have many beautiful exhibits. The tapestries are especially lovely. They were woven with beautiful yarns by weavers from the Netherlands. For years they hung in a French castle and managed to escape destruction during the Revolution. Then, for 2 generations, excuse me, said Jack. He was eager to end the woman's boring lecture so they could be on their way, but she kept talking excitedly. The tapestries were used by peasants to protect potatoes stored in their barns, until eventually a countess rescued them. They were restored, and in 1922, Mr. John D. Rockefeller Jr. brought them. Just last year, Mr. Rockefeller gave them as gifts to— Oh, that is so cool, interrupted Jack loudly. He pretended to be interested so they could escape. We'd love to see them. Where are they? The tapestry room is just on the other side of the first cloister, the woman said, pointing. Turn that corner, go out the door, and then walk through the garden to the door of the tapestry room. Let's go, Annie, quick, said Jack. He and Annie went around the corner, out the door, and into a snowy garden. Where? Said Jack. I didn't want to be rude, but we're short on time. I know, said Annie. What now? Said Jack, shivering in the cold. We need to figure out exactly where we are, said Annie, and where the Bronx Zoo is. Maybe we can just walk there from here. Come on, let's get inside the tapestry room and check our research book for a map, said Jack. They walked along the edge of the garden under a covered walkway. When they came to a door, Jack pushed it open, and he and Annie slipped out of the cold into a large, warm room. Jack closed the door against the storm and unbuckled his briefcase to take out their research book. Oh, wow, breathed Annie. What, said Jack. He looked up. The walls of the room were covered in cloth hangings, tapestries shivering with gold and silver. Oh, whispered Jack. A unicorn, said Annie. Chapter 6, The Hunt of the Unicorn. There were 7 tapestries in all. Each was almost as high as the wooden ceiling. Jack read aloud from a sign on the wall under the first one. The Hunt of the Unicorn. Tapestries woven in the Netherlands at the end of the 1400s. The first tapestry showed hunters and hounds searching for the unicorn. The second showed the unicorn being found. The other tapestry showed the unicorn trying to escape, leaping from a stream, chased by clouds, then captured and slain by the hunter's spears. Oddly, the last tapestry showed the unicorn alive again. He was sitting in a garden of flowers surrounded by a wooden fence. There was a wide blue and gold collar around his neck, and he was chained to a tree. That's him, Annie said softly. How can it be him, said Jack. He's a picture in a tapestry. Read Merlin's poem again, said Annie. Jack unbuckled his briefcase and pulled out the parchment scroll. He read aloud. The very last unicorn is now hidden well by those who have put him under a spell. "The unicorn is hidden in the tapestry," said Annie. "The people who wove it must be the ones who put him under a spell." Said Jack. He read on. "4 centuries, 4 decades from that afternoon, at the end of November before the blue moon." "Stop, do the math," said Annie. "Right," said Jack. He took out his notebook and pencil. "Okay, 4 centuries is 400 years, and 4 decades is 40. Add them up, you get 440. Then, if you subtract 440 from 1938, you get 1498. "It works," said Annie. "The sign said the tapestries were woven at the end of the 1400s, and it's the end of November, and Mr. Perkins said there's a blue moon tonight." "Oh man," whispered Jack. He kept reading. "He will wake once more and be free to go home if you call out his name, Divine Flower of Rome." Annie looked up at the tapestry. "Divine Flower," she called. Nothing happened. "Divine Flower of Rome," Jack called. Jack and Annie watched and waited. Nothing changed in the tapestry. It looked exactly the same. "Maybe he's not the right unicorn after all," said Jack. "Maybe it's just not the right name," said Annie. "Read the rest." Jack read more of the poem. "You must coax him to stand once his name is spoken. His chain will break and the spell to be broken." "He is the right unicorn," said Annie. "See, there's the chain." She pointed to the chain in the last tapestry. "Yeah, but why didn't calling his name work?" said Jack. "Why didn't he wake up?" "I don't know," said Annie. "What else does the poem say?" Jack read on. "Then a young girl must love him and show him the way, lest he be trapped forever on public display. If he loses this chance to rise and depart, all magic will fade from his horn and his heart." "He is on public display, and I'm the girl," Jack said Annie. "I love him a lot. I'll show him the way." "Okay, calm down. First, we need to wake him up," said Jack. Voices came from outside. Jack moved to a window. He looked out into the courtyard. 2 people were coming through the cloister, their heads down against the flying snow. One wore a dark cape and the other a tan raincoat. Jack turned back to Annie, a big grin on his face. "You were right. They found us. Teddy and Kathleen are here," he said. "They'll know how to break the spell." "Of course," said Annie, beaming. "Quick, let's hide and surprise them for a change." "In there," said Jack. He and Annie hurried into a long room off the tapestry room. They heard the door from the cloister open. They felt a rush of cold air. They heard footsteps. Jack and Annie grinned at each other. Jack put his fingers to his lips. Then a quick, nervous boy's voice came from the tapestry room. "Grinda, they're not here." "I see that, Baylor, but look." "Ah, is it him, Grinda?" Annie grabbed Jack's arm. "Baylor? Grinda?" she whispered. "Shh," whispered Jack. "Of course 'tis him," said the girl. "I told you those Frog Creek brats would lead us to him. Get the rope ready." "Aye," said the boy. Jack and Annie carefully peeked around the corner. They saw the girl and the boy standing with their backs to them, facing the unicorn in the last tapestry. The boy held a thick black rope. "Call out his name, Grinda," said the boy. The girl took a step toward the tapestry. She raised her arms in front of the unicorn. "Dianathus," she said. Wind whistled through the open doorway. The flowers in the tapestry swayed as if the wind were blowing them. The scent of roses wafted through the room. The unicorn moved his head. "Ho," whispered Annie. "Get ready, Baylor, to take him back to the master," said the girl. Annie clutched Jack's arms. "Who's the master?" she whispered. "I don't know," whispered Jack, "but I don't think he's a good guy." The girl turned back to the tapestry and spoke softly to the unicorn. "Come, come, my lovely Dianathus. Stand up now. Come on out of that old rug." The unicorn turned his head and looked out at the girl. The look in his blue eyes was ancient yet young, wise yet innocent. He lifted his head as if he were about to stand. The girl nodded to the boy. The boy slowly coiled the back rope into a noose. The girl looked at the unicorn again. "Come to me, Dianathus," she coaxed. "Don't be afraid. I'll love you and show you the way." "No, Dianathus," yelled Annie. "Don't go to her." Annie and Jack bolted from their hiding place. Baylor and Grinda whirled around in surprise. They both had pale faces and pale, shining eyes. "Leave him alone," Annie yelled at the strange pair. "You don't love him. We love him." At that moment, there was a flash of light, and the unicorn in the tapestry leapt like a deer over the wooden fence. Baylor and Grinda shrieked and jumped back. Jack covered his head. Then there was silence. Jack looked up. The tapestry on the wall was unchanged. It still showed a unicorn woven from yarn chained to a tree. But standing on the floor of the museum was the most beautiful creature Jack had ever seen. There's a unicorn, and it's in front of them. We'll have to keep reading and find out if Baylor and Grinda get the unicorn, or if Jack and Annie can save them. Until next time.